Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Keisha Loftin, and welcome to our first live event for Lumina Wellness Center. And this is my great experience to be able to share it with you guys. I am the owner and medical director of Lumina Wellness Center, and this is my husband, Jerome. And thank you all for joining in with us. We're going to have a little bit of a brief agenda. I'm going to be speaking a little bit for a while about our practice and my journey into wellness. And then my husband, Jerome, will speak about his experience. And then we'll have some question and answer session toward the end. Stay tuned for a special announcement about a very exclusive event that's going to be happening at the end of this month. And so we're super excited for all of the events that we're having. But I will go ahead and get started. Feel free to drop questions into the public chat box, and let's go ahead and get started, okay? I am a board-certified medical physician, board-certified in OBGYN, and I've been in practice since 2003. I did a medical school here in San Antonio and a residency in the University of South Florida. And I've been here in San Antonio since 2003 after finishing my residency training. I began practice with Dr. George Hilliard, and then I was in practice for many years and I launched Lumina Wellness Center in 2018. I've always had a desire for a medical office that combined spa treatments and beauty and a relaxing environment. And over time, I found out that there was going to be a way to incorporate that when my managing physician, Dr. Hilliard, he retired. I had a great opportunity to go ahead and realize my dream for opening Lumina Wellness Center. Now, many, many years went by in between, and I was practicing medicine and taking care of women and realizing that they had a lot of issues with aging and wellness, and there were not a lot of options for them that was beyond the general scope of traditional medicine. And I felt kind of limited over time. Shortly before 2017, I started hearing a lot about alternatives like bioidentical hormone therapy and nutraceutical supplements. I didn't really think a whole lot about them at that time because I didn't have a whole lot of experience in it. It's not anything that was taught to us in our medical school training or even in the residency training. But as we went through my practice and I started seeing more and more women that were kind of aging along with me, and I even started having some of my own interesting symptoms myself, I said, well, maybe I need to take a look into this area of medicine. And I went to my first conference on bioidentical hormone therapy, specifically that with the BioT company, BioT Medical. And wow, my eyes were opened, and I learned so much about the human body and the things that it needs and what type of hormones that women have, that men have, that we all need, that are necessary for wellness and balance and feeling good and living great and having good energy and good sleep. And I just kicked off the whole practice based on that, and the rest is history. I had my own symptoms along the way. During that time frame, I was probably around 45, 46, and even being a busy doctor, I had my own issues with low energy and difficulty sleeping. I woke up in the middle of the night drenched with sweat, and I thought that, well, do I have some type of medical illness that is undiagnosed? Like, what am I going to do with myself? And as I went and looked back into all of those symptoms, and I realized that, wow, even at that time frame in my life, I was already experiencing some of the symptoms of hormonal dysfunction in my mid 40s. And the longer that I looked at those symptoms, I saw those repeated time and time and time again in my patients. And when I joined forces with BioT Medical and started offering bioidentical hormone therapy to my patients and talking to them about nutraceutical supplements and overall lifelong wellness, preventative health, then we started seeing a lot of women get well and lives transformed and people feeling things in terms of improvement in their quality of life that they had not seen before with me. So I'm so, so grateful for those patients that started off with me way back in 2003 and grew along with me in my practice and joined with me as I started Lumina Wellness Center. I have a lot of areas of expertise in that company. I love everything that I do there. We do regenerative medicine for aesthetics, for beauty. We specialize also in hair restoration. Of course, we talked about a little bit about the bioidentical hormone therapy. We just, within the last 2 years, also launched medical weight loss and treatments for sexual health for men and women, as well as non-surgical bladder incontinence treatments. Now, somewhere along the way, I was treating my patients and treating all of these women with these symptoms, and they were getting well, but there began a little bit of a disconnect where the patients said, well, I'm feeling great and I'm doing well, and well, what can I do for my husband? Because he is not at my same level. And well, I knew during that whole time frame that I was had gone through my training that men can experience hormone dysfunction as well. And I said to myself, well, it wouldn't be right for me to eliminate the opportunity to take care of my patients' partners, spouses, when they're together. And why have a couple have a disconnect when they can improve their lives together and feel better, look better, live better lives together? And then I started off with some of my earliest patients that joined with me in their hormone therapy journey and medical weight loss journey. And they brought their spouses. They trusted me to bring their spouses into the practice. And then they started having improvements as well. And we started to see more and more male patients getting well and experiencing new heights of improvement in their lives, in their day-to-day experiences, in their relationships, because the couples were able to get on the same page and feel well together. And so that's kind of my journey with this hormone therapy, as well as with my practice. I've been steadily doing this in my practice along with traditional gynecology since 2018, and I don't see it stopping. So I saw my husband, and he's going to tell his own story. But the longer that I started treating men and noticing symptoms that they had, I slowly started seeing a couple of subtle things in my own household. And I won't take over my husband's story. I'll let him share his experience himself. So, Jerome, why don't you take it away?
Okay, thanks, honey. All right, so let me kind of start from the beginning. And my name is Jerome. I am the husband of the lovely Dr. Keisha Loftin. And, you know, I'll start with kind of my lifestyle and how I grew up and sort of get to a point where I started experiencing some of the symptoms that we want to talk about today. So I've always lived an active life, love playing sports. Love playing basketball, love playing football, running around, you know, even running and just jogging, things like that. That's always been a part of my life. And so I've just had a very active lifestyle as I was growing up. And so that served me great in my high school years and my college years. But after college, I started working. Actually, took me a while to get through college, but eventually I made it at around age 25. But then I started working full time, and I was really focused on my career. And I sort of really focused on my career to the exclusion of everything else in my life. And there was a couple interesting episodes where it just sort of. Okay. All right. Can you guys hear me now?
Sorry, guys. I don't know how I dropped out, but hopefully you can get back to listening to Jerome's great story.
I think you probably missed most of it. Sorry about that, guys. I hope you're lip readers, or maybe you're on Facebook and it's automatically doing the. You probably couldn't hear me anyway.
Okay. Well, go ahead and start your story all over again. They'll want to hear it.
All right. Well, so I know that I'm not sure exactly where my wife dropped out. I think when she dropped out, we lost sound. But I was just talking about sort of the stages of my life. And so when I was younger, exercised quite a bit, loved it, loved playing sports, and that served me very well. When I started working, that's when I really sort of focused on work to the exclusion of everything else in my life. And I think I was talking about this one point where I knew something was wrong. And it was a simple thing. It was like a simple realization. I was just walking up steps. That's it. I decided to take the steps one day to get to my office. I'm in my late 20s. And I had pain in my knees, which I had never had pain in my knees before. Like, even from playing basketball, football, I never had knee injuries. That was just not something I was familiar with. And here I was doing something simple like walking up steps, and I'm feeling pain. And that sort of lit a fire under me to start getting exercise again. And so I did that, started working out and trying to get back in shape. But then fast forward to my 30s, and I had this other aha moment in my life. I think I was home for Thanksgiving visiting my parents. And I went into their bathroom, and they had a scale, and scales were something that was pretty much foreign to me. Never, I got plenty of scales these days, but back in the day, I didn't use scales. I stepped on the scale, and I was 201 pounds. And mind you, I'm used to being 160s. That's what I was my college years. And it struck me that, hey, man, you really let yourself go. And, I guess I didn't see these things as maybe a natural part of aging as we go through these different life stages and go through these changes. I was just like, hey, I want to have the same sort of physique that I used to have. But that was something that, it got me to make some changes. Now, I wasn't making changes along with the help of a medical doctor. I was, reading magazines, talking to friends, searching the internet. And so I did things like the Atkins diet. I don't know if you guys remember the Atkins diet. It was this basically high fat, high protein diet that I tried in order to lose weight. And I think the main problem, because it can work in terms of losing weight, I think the main problem with the Atkins is like the cholesterol levels and things like that from all those fatty foods. But this was kind of some of the issues that I ran into over and over again, trying to solve these problems myself. So the rest of my 30s, I'm trying to do better with exercise. I tried other various things in that time frame in my life. I remember I bought this supplement that was supposed to provide all of like a full serving of fruits and vegetables. In fact, I still had this supplement when we ended up getting married, and my wife was like, "What is this?" Needless to say, that supplement is long gone. But like, I tried all these different things because I thought, hey, I didn't really know what to do. I want to try to fix this myself. And the 30s is also when I started to first experience issues with my sleep. And so fast forward to my early 40s, and now my sleep issues have gotten really bad. They persisted, and they've just gotten worse. They've gotten to the point where I'm waking up in the middle of the night at 4 a.m., and it's just kind of this, why am I up? I don't want to be up. I want to be asleep. And yet I'm not sure how to accomplish that. And in fact, one of the things that I did actually try going to a doctor at that point in time. And I think they just prescribed like melatonin or something like that. So I tried some supplements like that. It didn't really seem to help. And so these sleep issues just kind of persisted. And then I had the great fortune to meet my beautiful wife in my late 30s. And then, we met and we dated and we got to know each other. And I was very impressed that she was smart and beautiful and a doctor. And eventually I asked her to marry me. And we got married. I was 42 when we got married. And so our lives came together. I moved from Austin to San Antonio, and I started a new job. But yeah, marriage is great, but yet I'm still starting to, as I continue to age within our marriage, I'm starting to, experience more issues on top of the ones that we've already talked about. So, the sleep issues got worse and more consistent. That would lead to this cycle where I would wake up in the morning every day and I was always tired. And so then I was low energy. And then there was a new, issue that hit. You guys might have heard the term mind fog.
Brain fog.
Brain fog. So brain fog is basically, you're having a hard time. It's like your brain isn't processing. It's not working. And that's how I felt. I started to have that on a regular basis. And so I'm having all these symptoms, and some of them are getting worse, and I'm getting older. And the thought that goes through your mind is like, is this just what life is going to be for the rest of your life? You're getting older, and this is what happens to people when they get older, and there's really nothing you can do about it. And so I hoped that was not the case. But, I was experiencing these things. And so, my wife's a doctor, and she talked about how she started to move into the whole area of wellness. And, she started with women's wellness. Well, there was a certain point in time, like she said, where the women are getting better, but their husbands are still experiencing issues. And that was me. Like I was her husband, and I was experiencing all these issues that she's also hearing about from, the women in her practice. And my wife, expressed to me that she wanted to start solving these same sorts of problems for men. And so I was one of the early guinea pigs, right?
Guinea pigs? I'm trying to help you, though.
She's trying to help me. And it's not like it's just some random experiment. She's using proven techniques. But she took me in as a patient. And, at first I was a little, I had my own doctor.
I had to baby him.
But she
I took him along.
But, my whole life I tried to solve these problems myself. And here I have my wife who's brilliant, and she's learning about these things, and she's seeing results on other people. And so I was like, all right, let me give it a try. And
I knew that I could help you.
You knew, yeah, you do. You just had to convince me.
Yes.
So then you treated me like any other patient. I came in for a consultation. Time frame we're talking here now is my
2020.
Yeah, 2020. So that's when I turned 50. And so 2020 is also when the pandemic started. And it's an interesting convergence of things, because I went in and she took my labs, and she found out that my testosterone was 165. And I hear numbers like that, and I don't know what they mean until she says, yeah, your testosterone's supposed to be like 1,000.
Well, on average, most men, they're going to hang out around like 500, 600 for most of their lives while they're, feeling okay. But then it may start dropping. It definitely starts dropping around your age range.
Right. And so one of the things that I learned is that a lot of the symptoms that I was experiencing were related to this drop in testosterone. And at the same time, as I'm learning this, is like the pandemic's hitting, it's exacerbating issues because now I'm no longer working from work, I'm working from home. And all the exercise that I used to get at work, because we have this giant building and I could go for long walks during meetings and for lunch and things like that. Well, now my longest walk of the day is like from the bedroom to in here to my office. And so I'm becoming, more sedentary. Forget about sports. I'm not going to be playing basketball and people breathing COVID all over me. I used to imagine that all the time. And so we hit this sort of COVID time frame, and that's kind of when I started on BioT hormone therapy. And the thing is, I started it, and before too long, it was just like this cascade of good results. So, for example, I started sleeping better. So now I'm sleeping better. That means I'm getting a good night's rest. Getting a good night's rest, that means I wake up in the morning with energy. I can attack the day. If I want to work out in the morning, I have energy to do that. I started to get into a lot of healthy habits in terms of my workout routine, started doing push-ups, started making sure that I was getting cardio in 3 to 4 times a week. And just, I saw all these improvements. The sleep was kind of one of the early ones, and then the energy. But like I had struggled as I had aged with pain in my joints. And so I began to see improvement in that. Like I used to judge like how things were going to be by how I felt when I got out of bed. And I used to always be like, I get out of bed and I could barely move and I had this pain. But once I got on BioT, I started to see that subside. And then it wasn't just the BioT. My wife had prescribed various different types of supplements that were very helpful. Things for joint health, things for artery health, things for energy, nutritional supplements, things that would improve your immune system. And so I started doing all these things in concert. So I was exercising more. I had my testosterone levels back to normal. I had these supplements and really started to, that all sort of jump started me to be able to have the energy to have a healthy lifestyle. And let me show you guys something.
Well, tell them about your push-up challenge.
Yeah, so this was kind of interesting. My boss at work, I guess challenged us at the beginning of, it was 2021. Mm-hmm. And I guess we all I think my boss told me that he had started doing like 100 push-ups a day. I'm like, 100 push-ups a day? All right, I can do that. And then I started late in the year. In fact, it was crazy. I started on January 6th, actually, of 2021. You mm-hmm. guys might remember what happened on that day. That was like the insurrection day. But anyway, I happened to start on that day. That's when I started my push-ups. And I decided to do 150 because I wanted to catch up. And I would do them in sets of 25. And the goal was to do that many push-ups every day for an entire year. And I started doing it and I just stuck with it. And I got to where, I used to do sets of 25, but I got to where I could do 100 push-ups in a single set. And so a lot of the things that I was doing, I was seeing these benefits from it. And that was just encouraging me to keep doing more. And so that was kind of a cool thing. I still do the push-ups mm-hmm. to this day.
Still do the push-ups.
And
what are you at now for your push-ups?
So I just do 100 per day, and I've made them harder because it's hard to do for me to do 100 in a row. But I got to where I could do 100 normal push-ups. So now I do them like on weights. So I'm getting a little bit more going deeper.
Leverage. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's what I'm doing these days, along with still doing the cardio. And so I did want to share. Think the before and after would be good to share.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay, guys, I'm going to show you a before and after. I'm not exactly sure when the before was taken, but the after was taken just a few months back. And I'm going to pop this on the screen. Yeah, so there's the before and after. I tried to take this kind of from the same angle and everything, but you can see that I got more muscle tone, lost fat, and what's way better than all of that is I just feel better. I remember that when I used to run, I was very labored, and I didn't know why it was so hard to run because it hadn't been hard before. And I realized I was packing about 20, 25 extra pounds, and that's one of the things that made it harder to run. And so now I'm back to where it's just, it's easy, it's fun. I can actually enjoy it. All right, so enough of that. So now, you ready to take some questions? What do you think?
Hold on a second. I will in a second.
Let me take this off screen. There we go.
So we are about 30 minutes into this live, and we are excited for your questions. No question is silly, and we definitely want to hear, your questions that you might have. So please feel free to drop your questions into any of the chats on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and those will get relayed to us. And we'd be happy to entertain any and all of your questions. So if anyone has any, you can go ahead and get started, and we'll be ready to answer them. I have a few of common questions that people tend to ask, and in terms of from a women's perspective, what are the common symptoms that women might have for perimenopause, and the time frame usually starts anywhere between 45 all the way up to 55. Some ladies even start having symptoms as early as the early 40s, 40, 41. Most common symptom that starts early on is going to be difficulty sleeping, insomnia. The next is going to be mood changes. Another one that's very, very common is night sweats. That was the really interesting thing that I didn't even recognize, and it's really due to testosterone deficiency in women. And we'll probably have another live that will get into some detail on that. But testosterone is a hormone that women have. It is produced by our ovaries, and it does start declining in the late 30s, early 40s. And I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would be completely soaked, and I didn't know, well, am I spiking a fever, or do I have an illness, or what is going on with my body? And it wasn't really until I started getting that information from my first conference with bioidentical hormone therapy that it was because of my lack of testosterone that I was having those horrible night sweats. So that's a very common one. Low energy, intimacy difficulties, dryness, bladder difficulties, joint pains, forgetfulness, brain fog, walking into a room, forgetting why you walked into the room, leaving things everywhere, all a big, big constellation of symptoms. And they can begin at any point in time in that time frame, and but they can get fixed with hormone therapy. So those are the most common symptoms that women may experience, and that time frame when they arrive.
How about this comment from Sylvie W?
Oh, okay. I see there's a YouTube comment from Sylvie. Is a type of aesthetic treatment that uses absorbable suture threads to help with lifting and remodeling the face for those ladies that do not want to have a traditional like surgical facelift. It's a great procedure done in office. I've been trained by one of the best companies out there, PDO Max, love them. And I love the procedure. Of course, we start with a consultation in office, find out what the patient is looking for, do a skin analysis, and we always, try to determine what might be the best outcome for what the patient is truly looking for. But the age ranges can vary. I've seen patients get treated from, 35 all the way up until 70 with thread lifts. So it's a great treatment.
Honey, maybe you could talk to Sylvie W. is talking about some of the symptoms. She was thankful not to have had the hot flashes, but she did have some of the other ones like joint pain, bladder issues. And I know we have some number of different treatments for bladder issues.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so the bladder issues really come into play when the estrogen starts dropping, because there's estrogen receptors. That's the hormone, the primary hormone that gets produced by the ovary, that we have going down maybe a little bit later, late 40s, early 50s. And there's estrogen receptors in the bladder. When the estrogen drops, those ladies may start to have urinary incontinence or worsening bladder infections, recurring bladder infections, and that can be treated or restored with estrogen therapy. Now, of course, it's a multifactorial issue. A leaky bladder is, and it usually in a menopausal woman can be a combination of low estrogen and poor strength or poor pelvic floor strength in them. And so we like to use combination therapies to help treat them. Any common questions you think, or what are the questions that you had asked me when you started becoming my patient for men's hormone therapy?
Right. Okay. So I'll talk about some of the concerns that I had. So one, had to do with the insertion of the pellets. So I don't know if everyone's familiar with bioidentical hormones and how the insertion works, how those get into your body. One of the great things about them is they last for months. And one of the reasons they last for months is because they insert these pellets into your body. And my wife, she'll tell it from a doctor's perspective. From my perspective, basically, they're finding some fat layers in my bum and sticking these little pellets in there, and they're kind of time release, and it's bioidentical testosterone that's going into my body. And so because they're time release
and cardiac activated by exercise.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm wondering one of the things I was wondering is if I can burn through my pellets by exercising hard. Cause that sometimes I'll get on this thing where I'm just going crazy. Will that actually burn through?
Well, there are some patients that I do have that are super, super active, have, high energy jobs, or are weightlifters or personal trainers or in the military and or law enforcement. And they are super, super active, and they will typically burn through their hormones because they're so active and their metabolism is super high. On average for men, I have the majority of them that are 6 months in between treatments. But for those men that are super active, that they have that active lifestyle and they are exercising a lot, they will usually need every 3 or 4 months. And so we love this treatment because it's so individualized, and I love taking care of people and developing something that is specific to their needs and their lifestyle that's going to help them to feel better at a consistent level. And that's one of the big issues that happens a lot with some of the therapies that are already out there for men, specifically like the injectables. There is injectable testosterone. There's a ton of testosterone injection type clinics, and I inherit, a good amount of men that are ready to, leave that sort of environment because there's a constant kind of high and low of that sort of therapy, because you'll get an injection and then your levels will go high, and then you've got to wait until your levels go back low, maybe a week later or 10 days later, and then get another injection. And the difference between that and the bioidentical hormone therapy is that your levels will stay pretty consistent over time, over those several months, until they'll start to go slowly down. But we love to use laboratory studies. I have an in-house lab where we check blood work very regularly so that we can catch things before they start declining. So,
okay. We've got a question from John. How old do you have to be as a male to start hormone therapy?
Well, there's really not an age limit to start it, other than the age of 18, of course. But there are some patients that I have met, doctors that there's been male patients that they've had that have been 19 or 20 with, true documented, gonadal deficiency, where they needed to get testosterone therapy at that young of an age because they had a true medical issue. And so really the definition of how old you have to be is, it's more of what are your symptoms, what are your lab values showing, and what are your medical issues that are going on. And I utilize all of that to help to determine, is this patient a good candidate to go ahead and start this treatment at this point?
Is there a typical age or range for when you will typically start seeing male patients that come in?
Well, I have male patients that are as young as 29. And then my oldest male patient is 76. And so on average, my patients are kind of in their 40s to 50s. And that's that phase where we call it the andropause, which is kind of like the analogy to women's menopause, where testosterone starts declining. But there are some men that testosterone starts declining even earlier than the 40s, and starts declining in the 30s. And we do treat those men as well.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna ask a question.
Okay.
That maybe is in the minds of some of the men and women out there. Does the hormone therapy have any effect on your libido, sex drive?
Well, that is a great question, Jerome, because it is a common issue that comes up in this time frame, menopause and andropause. One of the things that does happen in terms of human sexuality is that the lack of these hormones can affect libido. And when that does start dropping, one or both of the persons within that couple partnership may start to have some symptoms. And of course, what we know from research and studies that, for women, that those difficulties in that area can be multifactorial and not only related to just the aspect of hormone therapy or hormone deficiency. In men, it can be about 50% or slightly higher. And so absolutely restoring hormone balance in men and women will help to restore a lot of aspects of libido. But again, there can be multiple factors that are involved in relation to health. That's why I love, the clinic, Lumina Wellness, because we don't just only focus in on the hormone aspect. We look at, what else is going on in your life? What else is going on with stress? How is your sleep? How is your exercise? What is your diet like? Because if we only do things just with the hormone and just give you hormones and leave everything else behind, then we're not going to get total wellness and we're not going to get better across the board. And I think that the best treatments and the best ability to help people is going to be incorporating as many things as we can to help improve patients' libido, and not only the hormones.
And did you see this question from Sylvie W?
Oh, okay. There's another question from Sylvie. Sylvie is really active over here on YouTube. So she is asking a question about rejuvenation, about feminine rejuvenation. And so it's kind of like a catch-all phrase that incorporates partly the use of hormone therapy, but also certain types of treatments that are out there specifically for women. In our clinic, we have two main things that we use for intimate rejuvenation for women. The number one thing that we utilize is called the O-Shot, and that is using platelet-rich plasma. It's one of our regenerative therapies. It's one of the first types of treatments that I brought in to Lumina when I started it in 2018. But it is a very simple procedure using a blood draw, and we're using your own plasma that has stem cells and growth factors in it from the woman, spinning it in a special instrument called a centrifuge to isolate those growth factors. And then we inject it back into the genital area for a woman. And that improves many different areas that may be a factor for low libido. Number one, dryness is improved. Number two, incontinence is improved. Number three, blood flow to the area is improved. Sensation is improved. Orgasms are improved. And so that is one of the big aspects that we use with plasma therapy for women. Love the procedure O-Shot. Probably did about 5 or 6 of them in the month of January. So just can't get enough of helping women with their own blood plasma that can heal their own body and improve it. We also have a radio frequency device called Thermiva, and it is a special machine that has a wand attached to it that we use and insert that into the tissues vaginally to help with restoration by collagen induction, using heat to help stimulate collagen growth there in that area. And so at the same time as you're inducing collagen growth, it's also improving the tissue, improving, in a lot of women, they improve appearance as well. And so they enjoy that. So those are great procedures. We love to combine them together because combining them together gives even better results.
Okay, well, you have that for women. Do you have anything like that in terms of men's sexual wellness?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, of course, we started off talking about the testosterone therapy, optimizing the hormone balance for men. But then there can be some other issues that come into play with the lack of function. And again, using plasma, using platelet-rich plasma from the blood, we have a great procedure that was developed by the same inventor of the O-Shot. It is called the P-Shot, the Priapus shot. And we do use that treatment to help with ED for men, as well as sensation. And it's a wonderful, wonderful procedure. Been around for a long time and has helped thousands and thousands of men. Of course, consult is needed, and we want to find out what may be going on in the background that could be something that could also be a factor that leads into that. The newest procedure that we do for men's intimate health is called P-Tox or Botox, and that is one of the newest types of treatments utilizing neurotoxins like Botox, Xeomin, Jeuveau injections into the male penis to help with ED. And so it's a great, great treatment, been studied in journals for urology, and it is very effective. And so excited to be able to help both men and women with this very sensitive area. And we have a great staff that is very sensitive to this, and we have a great clientele. And so they have wonderful results.
Yeah, I just can't get over the name of that one procedure.
You're so silly.
Botox.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, Sylvie mentioned that she'd like to schedule a consultation. What's the best way for her to do that?
So the best way to schedule a consultation is by calling the office. We have our phone number, and we can put that into the public chat, 210-878-5881. Or Sylvie, you can visit our website, luminawellnesscenter.com, and you can see the full scope of all of the treatments that we have, even more than we've discussed here on this live today. And there's a contact form at the bottom of the page. You can put your information, and someone will get back to you within 24 hours.
So I think one thing that we haven't talked about for the folks that may be viewing this and maybe see you in person and hear our stories, and from an in-person perspective, meet your staff. Can we talk a little bit about that event that's coming up?
Why don't you give a little bit of background on that?
Okay, so so we've got an event coming up. It's on the 22nd, right? And it's an event that's going to be a very intimate setting. It's going to be at Lumina. It's going to just be limited to 5 couples. And Dr. Loftin will be there. I will be there. The staff will be there. And it's going to be an opportunity to talk to Dr. Loftin in person, see some in-person demos of some of the devices and treatments. There will be beverages and also food,
snacks,
and
yes.
snacks provided as well. And if maybe you are not wanting to kind of put some of these issues out there on a public forum like this, but you'd love to ask the questions in an intimate setting and hear from Dr. Loftin, this will be a great opportunity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this little banner at the bottom. This has the website to sign up for the event. The web address is sms.luminawellnesscenter.com/couples. And I will leave this on the bottom there so that you guys can continue to see that link, sms.luminawellnesscenter.com/couples. There you'll be able to find out more information about the event as well as register.
So yes, that event is going to be hosted by Eventbrite. So again, it's going to be limited because it's a great small intimate event, just 5 couples. And so I'm sure those seats are going to fill up fast. And just click on that link or go directly to that link on Eventbrite. It will be published. You can search my name there, sign up, you and your partner. There is a small cost to reserve your spot, but you want to reserve it because the value you're going to get from attending this sort of event is going to be amazing. And so do not miss out, because this is not going to be something that happens a lot. And so you'll be able to meet me, you'll be able to interact with my husband and, ask any questions that you want, to ask my staff questions, book treatments. And at that event, there's going to be a very special giveaway for a couple. And so we'll start promoting all of that. One special couple is going to be able to get their laboratory tests complimentary and a complimentary consultation with me. So I'm excited about it because I'm always wanting to help more people. And so do sign up for that. And
yeah, with only 5 couples, that's pretty good odds of winning. Better than you can get at any other thing like that.
Awesome. Any other questions that anybody else may have on any of the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube? Love our YouTube channel. Subscribers, please continue to subscribe to our channel and follow us. We're going to be presenting a ton of great content over this year, as well as on our Facebook page. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Cosmetic GYN, as well as Leticia de la Cerda, as well as she's got some great comments over here on Instagram and some positive feedback from someone that may have some experiences. So love that you all spent time with us this evening, talking with us and listening to our story, listening to our journey, getting to hear from me about our clinic, and hope to see you again in another live this year.
Thank you, guys. And we're going to continue to refine our technology. And I know we had a couple little hiccups on this one, but this is our first time doing it. And we're figuring things out. And this started running pretty smoothly towards the end, right, baby?
Yeah.
So also thanks to our helpers in the background. John, you know who you are. Aurora, thank you, guys. Really appreciate you.
And thank you for everybody that joined. And we love our followers and all the people that support Lumina Wellness. And we'd love to see you in person. And so don't hesitate to reach out to us. Anything else you want to mention, Jerome?
Just that tomorrow is Valentine's Day.
Oh, yes.
Don't forget your sweetheart. and the sorts of things that we're talking about today, they would make wonderful gifts because they are going to have a lasting effect on your loved ones' health and their wellness, as well as your own.
Exactly.
Not to mention.
Exactly.
And I will say this. This is just for the guys. Just see food for thought. One of the things that we talked a little bit about was on the Bio-T hormone therapy, and we were talking about the libido. And I am here to testify that it definitely has positive effects for both myself and my wife in that area, which I highly appreciate. I'll just leave it at that.
Gotta love him. But in that same note, I think that having couples come together in their wellness journey really helps to unify the relationship. And I love having the ability to treat people together, because you can together live a better life and enjoy your day-to-day and feel better. And that's really what we want. We're living longer lives, and we want to be having our lives improved and enriched as we get older. And so thank you again. And we look forward to seeing you again on another live.
Well said, honey.
All right.
Bye, guys. Thank you.